Ryan. Welcome back to Focal Point AFR. Talk a couple of quick things before we jump into some details here. Number one, we have sent here at AFA, we've sent an action alert out today that's an important religious liberty issue. This deals with a retired military veteran who was placed on administrative leave, that he was suspended from his job because he was adding to his signature on emails the phrase, "God bless America." And he was suspended for that. He was accused of insubordination when he told his supervisors, look, I'm going to seek legal counsel on this. I don't think you've got the right under the Constitution to tell me that I cannot add the phrase, "God bless America," that I can't refer to God in my email. So I'm going to look for legal counsel. I'm going to seek it out, at which point they suspended him for insubordination. Well, they've pulled that down. They're no longer, he's no longer being formally accused of insubordination, but he has still been told he cannot refer to God in the salutation. You know what goodbye means? You know what goodbye is short for? Goodbye is short for God be with you. If you say goodbye and you understand the origin of that, you are referring to God in your salutation, in your farewell. So this is just completely, absolutely absurd. And we're sending an action alert out that will give you a contact information for the president of this hospital. Her name is Lorraine Auerbach. Dameron Hospital is the name of the hospital. And you'll be able to communicate directly to her that you want this guy reinstated and you want him to be allowed to refer to God just as the founders did in their salutations and in their correspondence. So that is an action alert. If you get one, open it up, take action. If you haven't got one, go to our website, afa.net, and sign up to get our action alerts and take action on that particular thing. Very, very, just one of those situations that kind of surfaces the whole crisis that we're dealing with in America over religious liberty. Now, you'll see a story on Drudge today about the fact that our federal officials are telling us now that there are probably dozens of outright terrorists, Muslim terrorists, who have been let into this country on the grounds of refugee status. Now, this goes to the larger issue of I've often said, I will continue to say it, I believe we ought to suspend Islamic immigration immediately. Now, if you've got Muslims that need refuge, we may understand that. Nobody denies the fact that there may be Muslims in different parts of the world that need refuge. Fine. Let's help them find refuge in one of the other 56 Muslim nations in the country. If Islam is a religion of peace, like everybody, including George Bush, tells us it is, then what that means is there are 56 islands of peace, tranquility, and paradisal shalom all over the globe. Let's help these Islamic refugees find refuge in one of those paradises produced and created by the religion of peace. We do not need to import terrorists into our own country on the grounds of providing refuge. Now, one other thing, and this is kind of spooky when you look at kind of the global thing. I've had a couple of stories in the stack to get to about the economy and what the Fed is doing by pumping up, by just pumping money, $85 billion into the economy, just pumping it in there. It doesn't represent any wealth, doesn't represent any growth in the economy. It's just monopoly money. And the reason they're doing it, and all that money is going straight to Wall Street, by the way, it's crony fascism. It's going straight to purchase stock. You want to know why the stock market is up? Because the federal government is printing $85 billion a month and using it to buy stock. That's where it's going. So no wonder the stock market is going through the roof. It's a total bubble. One day it's going to collapse. One day it's going to burst. It's a nice wave to ride while you can, but it cannot last forever because it's artificially sustained. It doesn't represent any wealth, doesn't represent any commitment on the part of the American people to make investment. It's just totally monopoly money that's been thrown into the system. And you look at Europe, and right now there are European banks that are starting to offer negative rates on deposits. You know what that means? Now, historically, our relationship with the bank is this. We deposit our money in your vault, and you pay us interest on that. You've got our money. You've got the use of our money. You can loan our money. You can loan it out to people that want to buy houses, that want to invest in businesses. You make money off of our money, and you return a portion of that to us. It's a win-win for everybody. We get some interest return. The bank makes money. Everybody's happy. But it's predicated, the whole idea of putting your money in the bank is you're going to have some interest coming into you. Now, one of the things that's happened, and I'm getting longer on this than I intended to, but one of the things that's happened because the Fed, and the reason the Federal Reserve has been pumping this money into Wall Street is to keep interest rates low. Now, that sounds good, except if you've got money that you want to be generating interest, you're not getting any. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is pumping $85 billion of monopoly money into the market. And so that's why your rate of return on your certificates of deposit and your savings account, it's zip, it's nothing, it's nil. I mean, we're losing ground because inflation is growing faster than the rate of return on our deposits, and that's all because of the Federal Reserve and this monopoly money. Ben Bernanke down in the basement cranking out money on his printing machine. And so that keeps interest rates artificially low, which is why you don't get any money on your deposits. But it's also the only thing that's keeping interest payments on the national debt in check. Now, if this money wasn't being pumped into Wall Street and these interest rates weren't being kept artificially low, the interest rate on our national debt would be around 6%, and it would take $930 billion a year right now just to service the interest on the national debt. Right now, we're paying about $200 billion a year. But if money was where it ought to be based on market fluctuations, we would be spending almost $1 trillion a year just on interest alone. Absolutely, completely, totally unsustainable. And that's what's got the Federal Reserve panic. They don't want that to happen because that would kind of pull the mask off of this whole this economic pit we're dangling over. And so they're pumping this money in to conceal from us how desperate our financial circumstances are. So anyway, this negative rate, now this is what I get into, this negative rate in these European banks means, listen to this, that if you want to put your money in a bank, you have to pay them to keep your money safe. You are paying them. They're not paying you to borrow your money, to use your money. You are paying them to stick your money in a vault. And they still get to loan it out, but they're charging you for the privilege of hanging on to your money. So, those days when your money was safer under the mattress, we are not that far. That's over in Europe now, but there's no reason why that same kind of thing wouldn't happen eventually over here. Now, I want to get to some Obamacare stuff before we bring our guest on at the bottom of the hour. Here's the one I want to grab. Rob, let's just jump right down to clip number 6, because this is astonishing to me. This is absolutely astonishing. This is Henry Chow, and he's the guy that's in charge of all the IT stuff for Obamacare. And Rob, if we can start a separate segment on this one, that would be